Our first speaker in this blog is always on his mission to solve marketing's most pressing problems. Founder of Success Drivers and co-founder of SUPRA.tools, Dr. Frank Buckler is a true mastermind who loves to create tools for better pricing, customer experience, and marketing. After a recent hike with Steffen Schmidt in Switzerland, Frank had a huge reason to celebrate. One of his core competencies, causal AI, has recently been recognized as an emergent technology in the Gartner Hype Cycle. And as a matter of fact, we'll now get a glimpse into causal machine learning and implicit intelligence. Great to have you here, Frank. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I will talk today about implicit intelligence, which is actually a term we just made up. It is merging, and it represents methodologies which finds implicit insights with artificial intelligence. 1 year ago, there was a huge study from Kantar. They interviewed 20,000 people around the world and asked them, how happy are you today and why? They did this study because they need to entertain their panels, right? They wanted to do something non-business related. And they came to us to analyze this data. Yeah, the question, how happy are you today, from 1 to 10, and why? So they asked 4 open-ended questions. The insights we got were quite interesting. First off, people were asked about the things that need to change. The most frequent response was more money. I need more money. And this is a fact. People were asked about the motto for their life and how this relates to happiness. Most frequent responses were, be a human, be respectful to others, help others. And that's a fact too. And people were asked about their long-term goals. Most frequently they responded, stay healthy or get healthy. This is a fact too. All this is a fact, but none of this is the truth. So why is it? There is a difference between facts and truth. When we talk about truth, we basically looking for insights that relate actions to outcomes. Yeah? That's the truth. The truth is, well, take this medication, it will help you, right? That's the truth. And that's what we look for in business too. We want to do something to get better results. Right? There's a big difference between facts and truth. And we leveraged here AI to find the truth in this data. This AI works basically a 2-step approach. The first step is we take all this text, these answers, why they responded this way, did a text categorization. So you can, of course, do this manually through 20,000 comments, but it will not be very reliable and also takes weeks to do it. So we use deep learning to do that, and this is typically has double precision than out-of-the-box text analytic systems. And second, it needs a driver analysis approach, which you will see later on, because you need to understand how important are those things people are saying. Yeah? So how predictive is this fact towards whether or not it makes them happy or not? That's a driver analysis, and here also we apply not just key driver analysis regression, but causal AI, which also doubles the precision of the insights. So let's look at what we found. Regarding the first question, yeah, what are your short-term and long-term goals? Most people say, okay, get healthy, stay healthy. I mean, it was 1 year ago, it was the middle of the second wave of COVID, right? But actually, and this the y-axis is the frequency of mentioning, right? The x-axis is whether the impact, positive impact, negative impact. So impactful ones you find in the outside. So actually what is instead impactful is when people want to travel long term. They want to travel the world, but 1 year ago they couldn't. Yeah? It shows the first time the huge impact of restricting freedom. Yeah? It ruins the happiness of many people. On the other side, if some were short-term able to book holidays, it made them very happy. Again, what people say more often does nothing to do what's really driving the happiness. The other question were they needed to mention 3 things that needs to improve. And most people saying, oh, I need more money, then I am happy. And of course, there are reasons which are more important. One is, okay, traveling, being able to travel. The other thing is get a better job or moving homes. So most of them have good homes, but some are, for them, it's much higher pain to move. And last thing, they ask the question about their life model and how this relates to happiness. And most people say, okay, be human, respect one another, or even never give up. But this is actually just lip service. That's what top of mind what you say. But we can prove using causal AI that it's not predictive towards the happiness. Instead, something very different pops up, but is not so often mentioned. People are much more happy if they believe in God. People are way less happy if they are distrusting other people. Be careful who you trust. And people are very happy if they feel gratitude to the day they live in. So again, that's not what pops up very frequently, but it is super powerful when it does. So the interesting thing is now, this is not a huge scientific study which takes years with hypothesis building theory and stuff. It's just this random survey analyzed in a matter of a week, but you get very powerful discoveries by using implicit intelligence. And the same methodology we can use for customer experience insights. Any company, nearly every company runs an NPS survey, asking the question, how likely are you to recommend, and why? And we do that and analyze the data from Microsoft over Sonos and so forth. This is an example from Sonos. Most Sonos customers say, when you ask why you answer this way, because of the great sound of the speaker. But actually, this is a pattern which we see in all industries. If you ask a McDonald's customer, he says because of the great taste. If you ask a washing machine customer, because it washes good. And if you ask an insurance company, they say because of the great service. But all this is not the truth. The truth is that important, for instance, for Sonos is the reliability of service, that the streaming doesn't interrupt and so forth. This is where they are not so good at, so they have room for improvements, right? So that's how powerful the methodology can be, yeah, to really discover hidden success drivers. And again, the validity of this approach can be shown by analyzing the validity of the text analytics, which actually the machine is even better than a human in categorizing the text, because it was taught by human, but can reproduce much better with more consistency what the human teacher was teaching them. And causal AI is much better than conventional key driver analysis. So overall, it has a big improvement, and the findings will turn out to be valid. To give a little insight in the machine room of the methodology, is basically a causal network approach. Yeah, so you have all those categories of the text analytics, and this is eventually driving the outcome. But also there are indirect effects. For instance, the sentiment of what people are saying, which is basically the emotional content of the language, is an indirect effect. For instance, for Sonos, we see that when people say great sound, they do not mean they do not mean the great sound in terms of technical specificity, linearity of frequency spectrum. They mean, I feel good when I switch on the speakers. It's a pure emotion. And so you can actually understand the specifics of what people really mean. And here in a visualization, how machine learning helps here to better model what people mean. So conventional statistics basically place a regression into the room. The steepness is the importance of the dimension. But machine learning places a flexible plane into the world and can model how the world really looks like. And you can model and see things which you cannot see by looking at the data, because the data space is 100 dimensions big, right? So just for your illustration. But at the end of the game, it must be more valid, and this can be measured. So in a nutshell, what we do here is we merge qualitative feedback and metric outcomes with artificial intelligence and get implicit insights. So in the second part of my talk, I would like to show you how we can also gain implicit insights in the field of pricing. Why pricing? Pricing is the number one profit hack for businesses, which many know, many don't know. Yeah? You may know that, right? For instance, if you have 10% margin, profit margin, you increase the price by 5% without big changes on the sales volume. What you see is a 50% profit increase. Yeah? It's just pure profits added. If you find those insights, those hacks, yeah, it is super crucial to really understand it, to forecast whether or not this is possible, because this is pure money. It's really like harvesting. Yeah? So the product and the marketing, it creates a great product. Yeah? You have a cornfield, but you need to harvest. And pricing is harvesting what you have produced. So we just about to release a conjoint, Van Westenborg, Garber-Granger, and implicit pricing intelligence, which is the new methodology. And I would like to show you now some sample results, and would like to ask you which methods you would trust most. 3 examples. So, I mean, there's a monitor. What you see here, these are the different price points, and this is the demand, right? And the colors represent 4 different methods. So you would probably expect that the higher the price, the lower the demand, right? So, yeah, it works not so much for the yellow one, not so much for the orange one. And then from this curve, you can derive the profit Why? Because if you multiply the demand with the price and subtract the costs, retail margin, tax, and cost of goods, you arrive at the profit curve. And you see that the different pricing methods arrive at a very different end price. So I give you 2 more examples, and then I would like to vote which one you like best. Second one, see again, the blue and the gray, they are declining. The other was not too much. And the price they arrive is, the blue is kind of very different to the other 3. One more. Last one, blue and gray are declining. This is kind of, more higher price, more demand, and then goes back. And this is again zigzagging. Also very different prices. So let's vote. Who prefers the yellow one? 1. Who prefers the red one? Okay, 4. Who prefers the gray one? Nobody. And who prefers the blue one? So, good. So the blue is the winner over the red one. So, but we have tested the predictive power of these methods too, because we know the market share of the products we tested. And we can basically correlate the demand prediction with the market share. And these are the results. The blue is implicit intelligence, the gray Garber-Granger, the red is the Van Westendorp pricing sensitivimeter, and the conjoint actually was a zigzag. Turns out that a simple conjoint with just the brand and the price didn't work at all. So it proves the power of implicit intelligence, a method, I like to show you now it works, which uses the implicit association test and combines it with artificial intelligence in order to get a pricing method which is better, easier, faster, and to conjoint just lower costs. So here's how it works. First, there is a screener, so it's a survey, right? You screen, basically for cat food, you just want to have cat owners, right? And then you show the product. You have the opportunity to have a very detailed product description. And then it goes to the implicit association test, which basically shows the product, the price is altering, and we measure the reaction time of the question, does this attribute fits to the product with the price? After 2 minutes, it's gone, it's over, and we can derive the price demand function, and knowing the costs to make it and the retail margin, you know what the optimal price is. We did that for the latest Sonos speakers, Move and Roam. It was priced at $399, and at least the CEO said it was a great success. You may ask yourself now, where is some artificial intelligence? And let me illustrate that now in a graph. So what Garber-Granger is also doing is shows you a price and asks you, okay, do you want to buy it, right? Buy it. Implicit association test, a simple implicit association test does the same, but more looks at the time you need to answer that. Fast reactions are existing associations, and long reaction means you just made it up right now. So, but you want to know whether or not it's already an existing attitude. So with implicit association test, you could measure whether or not someone associates buy with the price. But this measure also is distorted, is biased by several things. First, you have there's always a difference between buying and wanting it, because buying also needs that you need it right now. Yeah, that it's situational also. Buying is situational. Buying also relates to the fact whether or not you already know this brand or even already tested this product. Or you are a person which needs more because if you have 10 cats, you're more likely to buy stuff and try things out. So these biases we can detect and model with artificial intelligence by using this context variables like whether or not the brand is known, and we use so-called fuzzy adjectives, so basically words like attractive, fair, and stuff like that, to predict the likelihood to buy it. This approach is also known in statistics as two-stage least square. What we implement that with machine learning. So that's the idea behind that. But the study already showed that it works. So to sum it up, pricing is the #1 profit hack for businesses. And it is often under-leveraged, and you have seen that the existing methods to measure the willingness to pay are far from perfect. So that's why implicit intelligence has a big contribution here. It marries implicit associations with artificial intelligence in order to get a better method, which is even fast, easy to make, easy to set up, because it can be set up in a self-service environment, and also with much fewer costs.
Es läuft bei vielen Computer.
By themselves and test large amounts of SKUs with methodology. I'm here for your questions.
Das ist nicht laut. Oh. Guck er hier mit seinem Tablet. Das ist die Moderatorin.
You looked at the ones who were more happy and then found out which other aspects were more often mentioned by them than the one that was most often mentioned? Is that about the...
Yeah, it's your thinking is kind of descriptive analysis, splitting groups and comparing,
exactly.
Which is a kind of a correlation analysis, which is prone to spurious findings. So instead, we look at how happy people are, everyone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we look at the happy and the non-happy at the same time. We have a spectrum of happiness. And we have reasons for happiness, which are 100 different topics. And we use multivariate analysis, which is artificial intelligence, machine learning. It's a multivariate analysis, but a more flexible one. And this analyze which of those reasons, which are actual reasons, all are reasons. Yeah? And the methodology can measure the impact each of the reasons have. Okay. So it's not an easy explanation, but that's how it is. It's a multivariate method.
Thanks.
Schon noch einmal aufgeklärt. Das ist auf stumm. Normal. Oh. Ja, das ist
on that chart, the 4 curves, The question was that, you know, the higher the price, the person thought, the better it is, and the curve that won, the AI one, went down. Maybe you could explain that one again. I don't know if you have to pull up the chart, and if I
Nochmal.
understood the question right. Maybe you can explain the chart again, you know, the 3 examples, why the one won.
Yeah, sure. Wait a minute.
You can also explain it by just audio.
Yeah, so basically, the higher the price, the less demand. The lower the price, the more demand. You could, of course, say, hey, if it's too cheap, people are thinking, that's too cheap, I don't trust the quality, right? But this price-quality effect is really different per category, right? And in these categories, we tested that, it's obviously not there. And the other thing is that you have seen that the gray and the blue are kind of parallel. Where is it? Yeah, it's kind of parallel. They are most similar. The gray is basically Garber-Granger, which is actually in line what you would expect, because Garber-Granger is an explicit measure. Explicitly, people are more restrictive to actually say, hey, I will buy it. They typically, a human would say, hey, oh, it's too expensive, I don't buy that. Yeah? But implicitly, they want it, right? So you see that the blue has a higher, is typically above that, because this is implicit, is what you would expect. And just by looking at the demand curve, you would say, hey, that's pretty similar. Yeah? I go with Garber-Granger, I can do it by myself. But you see how big the changes are in the optimal price. Yeah? You lose a lot of money by not running the best method.
Hi. One question, like how many people do I need to get reliable results? And the second question is like, is that like that's all mostly for physical products? Would it be transferable to maybe the B2B space and like digital products?
Yeah, so we already have run it for B2B, for also software features. So it is actually for everything which you can describe and have a picture like a logo on it. For B2B, you would typically have a problem finding a good panel, but typically B2B companies have just mailing lists. So it is optimized for pricing, not for product optimization. Conjoined is great for product optimization, but if you have a product and want to know what's the best price, that's a message, the situation where it's made for. I just need to brainstorm here, and basically, in order to predict, you need to understand the product. The AI needs to understand the product. What is the product? What does a product consists of? Yeah, which is probably a stretch. Yeah, because it's even the context. I don't know. That's basically what you do in conjoined. You try to featureize your products, and then you can predict. But this actually works without featureizing your product. You just put information, qualitative information, which informs your customer, and he may infer some other properties from that. So your question is very interesting. I would need to think about it, but it's probably not a straightforward way to